Man Tools is brought to you by EXO Auto Works. EXO Auto Works is Colorado Springs' home of the $40 synthetic blend oil change. Call now, 719-375-3232, or visit exoautoworks.com to make your appointment. Enharmonic Studios. Enharmonic Studios is a hybrid digital analog facility designed to be quality and affordable to anyone who wants to make history. Call today, 719-963-2020, or go to facebook.com/Enharmonic Studios. Trevor's Beard is brought to you by The Beard Struggle. The Beard Struggle is my go-to for beard hygiene and styling products, so you should click the link below and use the code TLANE15, that's TLANE15, for 15% off your order. The Toolbar, our new line of handmade soap produced in partnership with Crafts by Caryn Lane, available on Etsy. This soap packs a punch of manly scent, like oak and fig, fresh cut lumber, cedar, and more masculine fragrances being developed all the time. With a soft touch of natural oils to cleanse and moisturize, use the link below to buy the Toolbar now. Once you try it, you'll never want to wash with anything else.
From EXO Auto Works. Streaming all over the world. It's your weekly dose of toxic masculinity. With Eric Madrid.
There is no vaccine that you can give somebody, because if too many people are just running around with their dicks out. It's called the Harambe variant.
And Trevor Lane.
No. Of Karen's.
It's Man Tools.
Oh, there we go. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Man Tools. I am Trevor Lane. Cutout Eric is with us tonight. Eric couldn't make it. But that's okay. We'll have some fun without him. We'll endeavor to persevere and that sort of thing. So please jump in the chat so that I have some kind of input. That would be nice. Or give us a call. The phone number here, of course, is 719-285-9863, and that phone line is open. So feel free. My week had a rough one. Dude, it has been a shit year, and it's only February when it comes to... Well, I guess going back to this kind of was into the tail end of 2021 as well. For pets at the Lane House. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer right off the bat, but of course we had Moose a few months back who we had to put to sleep. And then I don't even know if I talked about it. We had to put down one of our rats, Mischief. She had what was most likely some kind of cancer on her tail. And then, a couple days ago, Carolyn calls me at work, frantic, because we had, she found Tiana, one of the other little rats, in the cage, dead. Very unexpectedly, because Tiana had a very common with rats, an upper respiratory infection. We did a course of antibiotics. In fact, the day she found her was Tuesday, which was the very last day of the antibiotics. And she seemed fine. She seemed completely recovered from this respiratory infection. And then she was dead. So, needless to say, it's been a rough week at the Lane House. So hopefully now that I've just got that off my chest, we can move forward with a fun little show and not have any more negativity bullshit get in our way. But that's why, I'd rather get this out of the way at the beginning of the show than fuck up the momentum. If we start low, all we can do is go up, right? So that's what we're going to try to do. So thanks guys for hanging out with us. Of course, right off the bat, subscribe, yeah, write it all down. Subscribe, share, rate, and review on whatever platform you get us on. That always helps us out. And please throw us a chat or a message on whatever platform. Even if you listen to the audio podcast, I believe you can send us either text or voice messages. So we would love to hear from you in any way. And if you're watching live, you can chat with us through Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, whichever platform you're consuming that on. So now that that's out of the way, we'll get into some news. All right, so we start tonight off with, we've got a couple of COVID-related stories, I guess. Unfortunately, that continues to plague us. However, hopefully this story leads to some positivity. This is from a publication called FEE, and it's reporting on a Johns Hopkins study which came to the conclusion that lockdowns basically had no effect. So if you live anywhere where they told businesses to shut down, as far as the mortality, maybe make that clear. No effect on COVID mortality. In other words, stay home to save lives didn't, statistically speaking, save that many lives. This could also have the headline of, and something that surprises no one, this didn't help. We're into year 3, Jesus, of the COVID pandemic, as they say, from mask mandates to vaccine passports. Government restrictions on our liberties remain in place, but thankfully, at least in the U.S., the era of lockdown orders confining Americans to their homes to slow the spread is we think. Those could always rear their ugly heads again. But a new meta-analysis of studies shows that all the pain and sacrifice we endured from those orders achieved little, despite tremendous cost. The new research review was led by economist Steve Hanke. That's good that they got an economist involved, because they apparently, Johns Hopkins is known for their medical stuff, but I'm glad that it wasn't just a medical thing, because they're always going to go public health measures are awesome. It evaluated 24 relevant studies examining lockdown stringency, the impact of stay-at-home orders, and the effectiveness of specific restrictions. The meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no effect on COVID-19 mortality. You know who did that almost at the beginning? Obviously, they had to wait a little while so that there was some data. But the Mises Institute did that right away, as soon as they had actionable data. And guess who covered that? This show. And this was back in early 2020. Maybe into 2021. It may have been into 2021. But my point being that this has been known to many, many people way before this. I just don't understand. Here's my big question. We've had experts and government officials, for the most part, tell us how, it's all about masks, locking down, vaccines. These are the measures that will help us. And then anybody, even if they're a big expert or some kind of government official that goes against that, are seen as some kind of fringe that needs to be silenced. So my question is, at what point do we look at these fringe people that actually got everything right and these authority figures who got everything fucking wrong and remove the authority figures from their positions of authority? When does that happen? When does Fauci get fucking fired? Who has the guts to fire him? I mean, the dude's been in that job for, what, 3 or 4 presidents? And he's been in that institution at the National Institute of Health for decades. I mean, this is a guy who, you look back at his history, he wanted to do mask mandates for fucking AIDS. He's had a hard-on for this kind of control and authoritarian public health nonsense for decades. And he got his way, and he's continuing to get his way, and at some point he needs to get at least fired. I think he should go to prison myself. I think he's a criminal. I think their actions on preventing people from getting stuff like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and monoclonal antibodies, which are probably the most effective of those 3, and then pushing remdesivir, which is proven to cause fucking kidney failure. Horrifying. Oh, and ventilators. Putting people on ventilators that didn't need to be on ventilators. That's the other thing that they did that probably ended many, many, many lives. He is responsible for, I don't know what the word is. It's not a genocide because he didn't go after people because of their, genetic heritage. I don't know what the word is, but yeah. Definitely belongs in prison. People that were pushing this belong in prison because at best they did nothing, and at worst they resulted in many, many more deaths and as this study points out, economic failures that are horrifying. I mean, yeah, maybe let's say it saved a life. Let's say, shutting down a business saved some lives. Well, it may have, but it ruined somebody's livelihood. And to them, their business is their life. So fuck them. I'm glad this is coming out from a very reputable scientific, people. The Mises Institute obviously is a libertarian think tank. So their thing is they have an agenda. I recognize that. But it appears that their analysis was accurate. So another COVID related story. I don't know if everybody knows about the big trucker protest up in Canada. But recently truckers were ordered to all get vaccinated in Canada. And Canada's going nuts with this vaccination stuff. And the truckers were kind of like, no. So a bunch of them, number one, they're blocking the border between us and them. A combination of U.S. truckers, because they're talking about doing this here. The U.S. truckers, I guess, have to be vaccinated to go into Canada, which was never a thing before. And a lot of times they check vaccination and require vaccines to come in and out of different countries. But Canada had never required any other kind of vaccines. And suddenly COVID, which amounts to basically, a bad flu, gotta be vaccinated for that. Anyways, the Canadian truckers, I guess they were all ordered to get vaccinated. They're not having it. They have driven a convoy to the capital city of Ottawa, where the Prime Minister then went into hiding. Mind you, went into hiding while tweeting stuff like, "We're not afraid of you." Well, apparently you fucking are afraid of them because you ran away. And they've been ramping up their demands. First it was they just wanted to talk to the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. Then it was they want him to resign. And now I believe they want all COVID measures at the federal level rescinded. And they've been having an impact. I guess Quebec had a tax, basically a fine. If you're not vaccinated, you have to pay money. They've rescinded that. A couple of other provinces had something along those lines. I don't know if it was taxes, but it was, some kind of, if you're not vaccinated, you don't get to participate in public society. Those have been rescinded in many other provinces. This is bananas. So I'm going to start here. What began as a GoFundMe campaign for Canadian truckers who lost their jobs due to COVID-19 mandates for cross-border travel. Yeah, that was the deal. To go from one province to another, you had to be vaccinated. Turned into a massive freedom convoy that drove across Canada into the capital. Left-wing Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dismissed the truckers as a small fringe with unacceptable views. Oh, here's the other thing. Now, of course, they're being labeled as racist, misogynist, anti-trans, white supremacist. And it's like, no. All they want is to not have to get a vaccine that they didn't have to get 6 months ago to keep doing the job that they've been doing for decades. And here's the deal. Like, if there's any group that should be exempt from something like this, it would be truckers. They spend all day basically hermetically sealed and don't come in contact with people, generally. They really don't. It's a very solitary life. So, yeah, the excuse for him running away was that he tested positive for COVID. However, he was basically asymptomatic. I know there was criticism because even under his own government's guidelines, he didn't have to quarantine, but he decided to. So, and yeah, as this headline points out, when workers of the world actually unite, the left doesn't like it. And that's true. That's true. And I don't know what the deal is with the modern left. As we've seen with like the Spotify thing, these rockers that were advocates of free speech and out there protesting the Vietnam War, now they're like, oh, if the government tells you to do it, you should just do it, and you should never say that it's bad. Keep on rocking in the government-approved world. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, okay. Just to round out our COVID coverage, we'll get into some racist stuff. This apparently happened in Texas, which surprises me. You may have heard the term critical race theory. Well, I'll give you a little background on what that is before I explain what's happening here. Critical theory is something that comes from Marxism. Basically, for a revolution to take hold, you have to have a scapegoat. So, with like the Marxist revolution in Russia, the aristocracy, right? And as some of these are eliminated, you shift, or you can just add to it. In the case of Russia back then, the aristocracy was in there. Then it was the intelligentsia, which is interesting because that's your like university, your academics, which now are where all the socialists and communists are. But so critical theory is basically just you have to have something to attack to get the revolution going. So critical race theory has adopted that and applied it to race. This is where whenever you hear anything, some of these trainings for these corporations about whiteness, that's where it comes from. Now, to be completely accurate, the theory itself has only been taught at law schools, but the theory has been put into practice through the curriculum of some schools, including and corporate training. Like I said, And this is an example of this critical race. We'll call it critical race applied praxis. I'm stealing that from Timcast, or crap. Being implemented in a classroom. A 5th grade public school teacher instructed her white students to apologize to all the black students. And as this points out, I thought Democrats said critical race theory isn't taught in elementary schools. That is technically accurate. The theory is not taught. They don't sit down with the kids and go, here's the theory of critical race. They just put into practice a bunch of stuff from the theory as they develop their curriculum. So a 5th grade teacher working in the North Penn School District made white elementary school children apologize to black kids for their skin color, according to irate parents. I'd be rather irate too. The sensational claim was made during a school board meeting by the mother of a child who attends A.M. Culp Elementary School. Quote, I actually pulled my daughter out of A.M. Culp because of the 5th grade teacher who lined those students up from whitest to darkest. Holy shit. The teacher made them turn around and made the white ones apologize to the black ones. Now do not tell me that this did not happen in this district, the mother added. You need to put an end to this. Yeah, and I would totally agree with this. Kids do not see color, and then you are segregating them and separating them. Yeah, this is fucked. This is fucked. The whole civil rights movement is being undone by this under the guise of, well, now because it's favoring black people, it's okay. No, it's not. We're all either equal or we're fucking not. That's it. The idea that it's okay when the segregation has an ill effect on whites, that's somehow fine, is fucking ridiculous. And this is a huge problem. A huge problem. We should be teaching colorblindness. You know, it's crazy because we reached kind of a pinnacle of that, I think, 90s, 2000s, and now for whatever reason it's like, oh, well, that's not enough. We actually achieved equality, so that's not good enough. We're back to, you know, certain people need to be privileged. Well, no. I don't think they do. All right, and we'll end our news on a high note. It appears that leukemia may have been cured. This story out of USA Today: 2 patients have been declared cured of leukemia a decade after innovative treatment that has transformed blood cancer care. The story writes, what's this lady's name? Caryn Weintraub. I want to give her credit. Doug Olson was thrilled a month after his treatment when a bone marrow biopsy showed he had no more cancer cells. His doctors were happy too, of course, but were less convinced that the experimental therapy they'd given him would prove effective long term. And they did not think that this would be a curative therapy at all, said Dr. Carl June, the University of Pennsylvania researcher who helped develop the method of triggering the patient's own immune system to fight cancer. More than a decade later, Olson, now in Pleasanton, California, still has no signs of leukemia that otherwise would have killed him long ago. So that's pretty cool. I mean, 2 isn't a lot, but if they can keep that going, that's pretty rad. So I like to end the news on a bit of a positive, right? Don't you? Let's see, what do we got? Oh, cool stuff. Yeah, we'll get into some cool stuff. All right, so we start off with some Navy SEALs being awesome. These SEALs brought in a 6-year-old disabled boy and let him be a SEAL for a day. So check this out. This is they took him through like one of their training courses, which is pretty cool. Damn. So they breach the door, and a couple guys come in and they're covering.
That was pretty cool.
And then here he comes, holding a rifle that's as big as he is, it looks like.
Clear, move.
Being walked behind, one of the SEALs walking behind him. Oh, cool. Oh, so he put down a threat as he came into the room. That's rad.
Last drop.
Clear, clear. We did it. High five, bud. Yeah.
That's
all right,
awesome.
Man. Great job, Mason. Woohoo! PlayStation beer. PlayStation and beer, gentlemen. Let's go.
No beer for you, Mason.
How was that, bud?
A couple more.
That is very cool. Another cool thing that I came across that I wanted to share, and I actually haven't read through this list, so we'll see. Out of the Men's Journal, a guide to the coolest gifts that guys actually want for Valentine's Day. Well, I'll be the judge of that as a guy. Let's see here. I'm always curious about this list. So first off, they show an image of a watch. Watches are cool. I mean, they're more or less practical. I don't know about having them in the age of cell phones, but I mean, I know I don't wear a watch now. I just use my phone. But I could see them coming in handy. I think they look sharp. So let's see what else we got on the actual list. Yeah. Hydro Flask Growler. I could get behind something like that. That's not bad. That's not a bad gift. Instead of the Beer of the Month Club, get a growler. This insulated stainless steel Hydro Flask just might make him weep tears of joy when it's the end of the day and the beer is still ice cold. Yeah, I don't know about keeping beer in something like that, but I can get behind that as a nice gift. A Marmot Tungsten 2-person 3-season tent. Speaking of that, we need a new tent. That seems more like a family gift, though, to me. But all right, I don't know. Maybe that one's not bad. Dr. Squatch. No, I would recommend that you get the toolbar from Crafts by Caryn Lane. Why wash yourself like a Sasquatch when you can wash yourself like a man and use the right tool for the job? So we're going to skip over this one. I don't want to disparage Dr. Squatch, but Lodge Preseason Cast Iron Combo Cooker. I wish some of these images came out better. Yeah, cast iron cooking is awesome. Love it. But you do need to know what you're doing with it. This is cool. It's apparently a little set that's like a Dutch combination cooker, Dutch oven, and pan. And a pan that also operates as a lid. So the pan acts as a lid for your little pot, and then you can turn it into a Dutch oven by putting the lid on it. Cool. Yeah, I'd say the best thing on that list is the cast iron, for sure. So, yep, that's the end of it. That has been it for cool stuff. We're going to take a pause and pay some bills real quick, and we will return with oh yes, I teased it too quick. I didn't realize I was good lord, buttons aren't toys. We'll get into our the tool of the week, but first, a message from our sponsors.
So on my way over here, my brakes made an awful noise. And the last time I got them done, it was so expensive.
You should go to EXO Auto Works. They did a great job on mine and it was way cheaper than anywhere else I've been.
That sounds great. I need to get their number from you.
At EXO Auto Works, we offer the best price on brake service in town. We include brand new brake pads, rotors, and hardware, which saves you money and gets you on the road faster. See our website for a full list of our services. Call EXO Auto Works today.
Stop destroying your beard. Let me explain. A little while back, I thought I was properly taking care of my beard. Turns out, I was destroying it. Dry, brittle, hair falling out. My girlfriend hated it.
He was worse than a dog without the cute puppy breath.
So then, she ordered the Beard Struggle. Game changer. Natural ingredients, awesome packaging, and it smells phenomenal.
You smell sexy.
Thank you. Oils, balms, they have beard growth accelerators in addition to the new Carbon X 3-in-1 heated beard brush straightener and volumizer, along with washes and conditioners. Stop destroying your beard. Order the Beard Struggle.
I have something you can destroy.
Order online now from thebeardstruggle.com.
Use the code TLANE15 for 15% off your order.
Everybody likes a little TNA. She crawled into the bed and put fucking pillows up underneath of her and was like, get after it. And I'm like, okay. I'm Jason Roach. I say, that woman's got some large breasts.
I'm Sam Hall. That sumbitch threw me down and fisted me. Does fat-bottom girls apply? Or perhaps skinny Vietnamese boys? Pray tell. And we are the hosts of the TNA podcast. Fornicate, marry, or wouldn't piss in their mouth if their teeth were on fire.
Download the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music.
Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Hello, I'm Rando, and I'm one of the hosts of This May Offend You podcast. On this podcast, we talk about whatever pops in our heads. Sometimes it's genital mutilation we have endured, man shits, and man stuff. Also, we ignorantly throw our opinions around about current events.
Huh?
So, if you want to feel better about your own level of intelligence and laugh at two guys having unfiltered conversations that may upset you or your liberal woke friends, go ahead and listen to This May Offend You. We're on Spotify, CastBox, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and, a few others. We can't wait to upset you there. Damn, I love the smell of freedom.
All right, our tool of the week this week is Whoopi Goldberg. Now, what did Whoopi do? Well, I'm going to show you what she did.
If you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race.
All right, on Monday, so that was on The View. They were talking about a graphic novel about the Holocaust called Maus, M-A-U-S, being removed from a school district's required reading. I don't know if it's been removed from their library completely, but I know it's been removed from their required reading for... No, I'm sorry. It was two things. They were talking about To Kill a Mockingbird being removed from required reading. And then a school district that removed Maus, M-A-U-S, a graphic novel about the Holocaust that was being taken out of a school library. The reason it was being taken out was, I guess there's some nudity, some rather graphic depiction of violence. That seemed to be the complaint. It was not, we're fragile and don't want to talk about the Holocaust. But it seems to have been spun into that. Anyways, so the ladies of The View got into this, and Whoopi said, well, the Holocaust wasn't about race. Let's see if they
show, the host of ABC's The View inaccurately claimed the Holocaust was not related to race.
It's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about. Whoopi Goldberg.
Goldberg appearing to double down on the Colbert Show that night.
So I wish they would have kept this in. She goes on to say that basically Jews are white people. So the Holocaust was a group of white people killing another group of white people, which makes it not about race.
The American experience tends to be based on skin.
Yes. And so that is what race means to me. When you talk about being a racist, I was saying you can't call this racism. This was evil. This wasn't based on the skin. You couldn't tell who was Jewish. They had to delve deeply to figure it out.
Then tweeting an apology saying in part the Jewish people around the world have...
Yeah, so anyways, she stuck her foot in her mouth in a big way. I wish I had found a better video for this, but the Colbert appearance, her apology is kind of like the apology that Eric was talking about last week. It's kind of a, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Oh, well, I'm sorry you're upset by what I did that was still in my mind completely reasonable. You know, basically a polite go fuck yourself. Then her Jewish agent got her to give a much more heartfelt and sincere apology on Twitter, and now I guess The View has suspended her for 2 weeks. Which, you know, I don't know about that. I always say, you know, I'm a big fan of free speech. I don't think you should get fired or suspended for what you say. The flip, though, is like my girlfriend, Gina Carano, she lost her livelihood just for making comparisons that I think were valid to the Holocaust. So no, I don't think Whoopi should lose her job or anything, but I find the double standard pisses me off. It's like, well, if you think this person should be fired for that, why shouldn't that person be fired for this? Well, I'll tell you why. Whoopi's a liberal black lady. That's why. That's why she gets a pass in just a 2-week suspension. She might get fired from The View, but she certainly is not going to be done in Hollywood. At least I don't think so. And if she is, that just proves a conspiracy theory about a certain group of people controlling Hollywood. So, just saying. So, yeah. Definitely a tool, though, Whoopi. Definitely a tool. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into some his story, and we'll finish things up here for tonight.
First on the flank. Get her started. Get fired at it, flank.
All right, this week in his story, February 3rd, 1912, new U.S. football rules are set, basically making the game into what we see today. The field is shortened to 100 yards. I don't know how long it was before, but goddamn, that's a long way to run for a touchdown if you're going from 0. Touchdowns now count as 6 points instead of 5. 4 downs are allowed instead of 3, so apparently the game was a bit harder. And the kickoff is moved from midfield to the 40-yard line. And keep in mind, I don't think they had a forward pass yet. Or if they did, it wasn't used very often. It was not the modern passing game. It was a lot closer to rugby still. So, Yeah. And there's some tough son of bitches that were playing the game at the time. So let's see. February 4th, 1974. Oh, this story is always interesting to me. Newspaper heiress Patty Hearst is kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army, which begins one of the most bizarre cases in FBI history. For those that don't know, she later developed Stockholm Syndrome, basically became a part of this group, and went on to help them rob a bank. So that's why you see her there in handcuffs. She eventually was accused of some crimes with them, and the I guess Stockholm Syndrome thing was basically her defense. I don't remember how well that. Well, no, I know how well that worked out. It worked out all right. She ended up convincing them that she wasn't in her right mind, and but that's pretty wild. Like, to flip from being kidnapped by somebody to, yeah, I'll help you rob banks. Yep. Let's see. February 6th, because nothing happened on the 5th. I looked. February 6th, 1916. Germany admits full liability for the Lusitania incident and recognizes the United States' right to claim indemnity, which is interesting because, for those that don't know, the Lusitania is the incident that got us involved in World War I. The Germans put up a blockade of England and said basically any ship trying to get to England will be treated as if it's helping them, including passenger ships. We ignored that and said, oh, surely they're not going to kill Americans. But also we secretly were sending over weapons with these cruise ships, these passenger ships. And eventually, I forget, it was a couple of years ago, but finally somebody got into the inside of Lusitania and found the cache of fucking arms and ammunition that was bound for England to help them with World War I. So, the Germans were not unjustified in their blockading and in their sinking of this vessel, despite what America says. So, let's see. February 7th, 1964. Speaking of the British, the band The Beatles are greeted by 25,000 fans upon their arrival in the United States at JFK Airport. Was it called JFK Airport? Yeah, I guess he got killed in 63, right? So, okay. Yeah. Damn. It's fucked up. All right. I didn't realize it was already named that. February 8th, 1887. Congress passes the Dawes Act, which gives citizenship to Indians living apart from their tribe. So I found this interesting because I wanted to expand on this a little bit. Andrew Jackson had a theory or a political philosophy that, and he's criticized heavily, in some ways rightly so, but you have to look at historical figures with a certain lens. You can't judge them by how we behave and what we know now. And that includes people like, figures back then. This guy Dawes was going for a similar thing. Basically, Andrew Jackson's thing was, well, if Indians will work, a job and pay taxes, they can be one of us. Obviously, that strips them of their whole identity and destroys their culture. But they didn't see it. Well, number one, they didn't see that as a bad thing. They saw themselves as like rescuing a backwards people from a backwards lifestyle. So the Dawes Act kind of codified that mentality. So if you separated yourself from your tribe, here was the other thing. An individual is a lot easier to deal with than a tribe. And it made it so if I think it was also probably let's encourage some of these people that we, share a continent with to come over to our way of life. And probably they probably had in mind that eventually they would just assimilate via these types of things. But so basically, a Native American that was separated from his tribe was considered an American citizen. And then finally, for this week in his history, February 9th, 1861, Jefferson Davis was elected the President of the Confederate States of America, the first and only. Oh, I forgot to put the imagery back up there. There's this, I guess, handsome guy. I don't know about the male beauty standards at the time. But yep, that was the guy that was elected president. Didn't have a whole lot of power under their system. Their whole thing, I mean, the reason why they were called a confederacy, they wanted to get back to the system of government that was in place under the Articles of Confederation, because they believed that the federal government had become too powerful, and that more powerful federal government was established under the Constitution, which replaced the Articles of Confederation. So there you go. But that has been the week in his story, and that also brings us to the end of our show. Want to let you guys know about a few events or things coming up. Saturday, catch Facing Forward, Eric's band, at Frankie's in Colorado Springs at 7 p.m. I'll appreciate it if you can make it out. We recently posted our Making a Marriage Last video to our locals page. So if you are a local subscriber, you can see that now. And of course, you can join our locals page for just $3 a month. It's a pretty good deal. And you'll get at least a video a month. More when we can swing it, but we, our kind of baseline is to get at least one video a month to you. And this month, actually, that was for last month. We made it at the end of January. So Making a Marriage Last is available now on our locals page. We, of course, would like to thank our sponsors, EXO AutoWorks, Enharmonic Studios, Crafts by Caryn Lane, and The Beard Struggle, and, of course, you, the viewers and or listeners. Thank you for tuning in, and please check us out on the web at mantoolsmedia.com. You can get on all of our social media through links. That's links.co/mantoolsmedia. It has everything there. It has it's just what it says. It's a bunch of links. It's awesome. Once again, please like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. And that rating and reviewing is super easy. If you go to ratethispodcast.com/mantools, you'll see a couple of podcast platforms that we appear on. You can just click it and give us a rating and review, and we would really appreciate it. And yeah, that has been it for the show. Short and sweet tonight, and we will be back next week. Hopefully Eric will be here again, and we will see you then. So good night, everybody.